Good evening, everyone. This is Christian Karasevich from Social Chefs, CEO and founder of Social Chefs. And I just wanted to welcome you to this week's episode of Social Chatter. Now, I know we were supposed to have this episode earlier today. We ran into some technical difficulties getting connected, but we're here. We're going to run through it real quick. Got a few topics for you and a few tools that I want to share. So for those of you who have any questions, you can always send me a tweet at CKROKS. I'm going to put some of these in the chat window, but you can do twitter.com/CKROKS. You can also hit me up at the Social Chefs handle. And in addition, I normally have my colleague here, Mr. Riffle. We were both trying to get everything to work today, but we weren't able to. So if you want to tweet him, you can ask questions there and just use the hashtag Social Chatter. So with that, I'm going to get started here because we've got some good stuff we want to talk about. Okay, so what are some of the things going on this week? Well, for starters, one of those things that has happened is, I'd say this is probably the major news for the week. Twitter is extending the length of videos from 30 seconds to 30 seconds to 140 seconds. Basically, very nice because previously only had 30 seconds you could upload. It wasn't a whole lot of time. So now you can create a video tweet that's up to 140 seconds long. Pretty straightforward, nothing else you have to do. Update your mobile app. That's the first thing. And then what's really great about this, and this is actually kind of cool, is you can combine this. If you're a Vine user, for instance, one thing you could do with this new feature is because you have longer amounts of time you can use, you could take a 6-second Vine and turn it into a trailer for a bigger story, for instance, that you tweet out. So you could take a 30-second video and make it 140 seconds. So that's one big new piece of news this week. Very simple. As a business owner, this is a great update for you because if you've ever had any interest in, if you've kind of been stuck trying to say, well, what can I get across in 30 seconds? 140 seconds, it's a lot more time. So this gives you a lot more you can work with. So that's update number 1 for the week. Update number 2 for the week. Facebook is making some adjustments to instant articles. I just got back from Social Media Week in Lima, Ohio, speaking there. And I talked about Facebook Notes and I talked about instant articles. And one of those new updates for this week is they're making some enhancements to branded content that's shared in instant articles. The reason why is because if you look at the way that instant articles were working, when people would publish things on instant articles, you could have in some of the branded content, you could have a byline of the publisher's instant articles and so forth. It was really difficult basically to distinguish between what was actually sponsored content and what was, regular content from someone. So basically what they've done is they've updated, for instance, the article style editor. This is done. You can go through your Facebook page and get to this. What you can do with that now is you can basically help distinguish branded content from any editorial content and basically help make things look a lot better. So that's one thing they've done. They've also added some customization to the article byline and the kicker. So for example, you can add, a customized byline to your instant article content, to show who it's sponsored by, for example, and who the advertiser is, and then, your date. But then you can also add a kicker as well. That's going to all be stuff that is immediately available, by the way. And this is pretty big news, in my opinion, because as more people start to use instant articles, you're going to have a way to therefore brand your content and still sell some ad space and so forth. And I think that's going to be, key. So that's another thing you want to look out for. Okay. So with that, I've got one other thing that's pretty big in social media this week, and that is an update from Tumblr. Tumblr has, and by the way, I want to welcome Chuck. Thanks for joining here. I'm normally on at 5, but today I got on a little bit later. We had some technical difficulties, but the other update for the week in social media marketing is that, and this is kind of crazy, Tumblr is testing out live video. And I know you're probably thinking, well, okay, everybody's testing out live video now. Everybody's, jumping in because Facebook did it, right? But yet there were other companies before that, like Periscope and the now defunct Meerkat, that's not doing live video. So Tumblr is getting into it. But what's fascinating about Tumblr is this. So Tumblr is not actually making a service where they're letting you live stream, for instance, from their tool. What they're doing, and this is kind of smart, is they're letting you include live streaming from other channels that you're on. And that's actually really smart because it's a different approach to what other social networks are doing. So basically, you can broadcast video. They let you broadcast, for instance, YouTube, YouNow, and then a few other ones. Let me see what other ones are available. Let's see. So you can stream YouTube. You can do. Let's see. They're integrating with existing services such as YouTube, YouTube Now, Canvas, and Up Close. And then they're using Tumblr as the publishing and the discovery platform for those streams. So if you are a big Tumblr user, personally, I'm not. I used to be. I used to use it a lot for work and things like that, but not really using it as much now. However, you can now use this as a way to take your other live streams and push them out through there. So that's actually nice. It's very different. Pretty good update. So, and by the way, if you want to read some more on the on Tumblr and live streaming, I'm just going to put a quick link in the chat window for you. You can go to livevideo.tumblr.com. It's going to let you check out some live videos that are going on and so forth. So kind of neat. So with that, I'm going to move into just a couple of quick tools for you, and then we'll move into a couple of quick tools, and then we'll wrap this thing up because I know it's probably pretty late where everybody's at. Okay, so tool number one for today, and by the way, like I said, every week I try to share stuff that is going to be very useful for you as a and try to apply it to your business. So tool number one this week is an app. It's called Public Group Chat. And what it is basically takes group chats and makes them open for the world to see. So pretty much instead of just having a group chat with, a private chat, this is another chat app essentially to let you, but you at least can have a public conversation and you can help build up an audience and bring people in. And then when your chat is active, people get notified. Pretty good little app. I've been testing out for a few days. I think it's pretty worthwhile. Personally, I guess the bigger question I ask is, there's a lot of chat apps out there. Do we really need another one? Not so sure, because if people are going to chat, they're going to typically go where their friends are at. And so, the way this one works is you go in, you start your own chat about whatever it is, and you can bring people in and so forth. Fun little tool if you want to have some conversations, but if you want to go beyond that, I think you should probably look elsewhere. So that's Public Group Chat. The second one is a very useful tool for Twitter users. And this actually is called Riffle, Riffle. Give you guys a quick link to that one. And this one is actually a very useful tool if you are a Twitter user. Here's how this works. So it integrates with a ton of different platforms, like 16 platforms, like Twitter and Hootsuite and TweetDeck and Sprinkler and Mention and Shoutlet and Zendesk and let's see, so TweetDeck, we got Twilert. So we got a whole bunch of Twitter apps that this integrates with. What does it do? So it's basically a Chrome browser extension that you can add. And what you can do is you can get Twitter engagement, interest, and activity analytics in real time directly from the browser extension. It's pretty cool. If you go there and look at like an example they have, they've got, for instance, Starbucks listed there, but it's pretty neat. So I can, for example, search for Starbucks and I can see if they follow me. I can see their digital footprint. So their digital footprint, is, okay, do they have an app? Do they have a clout score? Do they have a Facebook page, Instagram, LinkedIn, and so forth? So, do they have all of these things? In addition to that, though, I can also go on here and I can also see, for instance, how many retweets per tweet they get. I can look at how many favorites per tweet they get. I can see what top hashtags they have going on, how many tweets per day. Also kind of neat, you can also look at, for example, the breakdown between people using Hootsuite and Twitter for iPhone and Twitter.com. So this is a very, very, very useful tool. And it's also free, by the way. That's what's kind of crazy about it. So it is free. Pretty slick little update there. I will say that. And it's pretty great. You basically just click on it. You sign in with Twitter. So for example, I'm going to sign in with my my Social Chefs account. It's pretty straightforward. They're going to ask you for an email address to register. And then at that point, you can put in any username or Crowdrife icon that appears when you're on, for instance, someone's social media channel, or like you're looking, for instance, in Hootsuite or Twitter or wherever. You'll be able to click on their little icon and it'll fire up the account. So, for example, I can actually run this against my own account. Let's see how this looks. So I can go on there. I can see, my own personal digital footprint. I can see my top tweets. I can see how many tweets per day I send out. I can see what that actually comes from. It's actually pretty cool too, because, for example, I use a plugin for a WordPress site, and what I use is a plugin that, there's lots of ways to like keep content fresh. So you can use Hootsuite, you can use Twitter.com, you can use Twitter for iPhone. You can use a plugin called Tweet Old Post. And what these basically do is they help kind of keep some of your blog content out on your Twitter account. Now, what's cool about this plugin is that when I have it installed, I can actually go in there and see what percentage of my content is coming from different platforms, or I can see other ones from other users. And that's pretty handy. So if I want to kind of gauge, for example, how influential is this person, I can go on that person's, I can look at their Twitter account and I can see how many retweets per tweet they get, how many favorites per tweet they get. And then I can also see what tools they're using, which is actually really handy. So I can learn more about what they're doing. And maybe, for instance, I might copy that person, look at, for instance, maybe they're using a tool and I've never heard of it. I might go check it out and say, okay, that's a good tool to check out. So pretty cool. You can also look at their activity breakdown as well. So they have tweets and replies to see kind of which one's getting the most play. Personally, I think it's really cool, though, to see tweets per day. For example, I'm looking at an account right now, and they've had 73 tweets in a day. They had 50 on average, which is ridiculous. That's a lot of tweets. So that's a second tool for this week. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up with one more tool, and then we're going to go into just give you a link to next week's show. Okay, so tool number 3 for today is a new tool from Twitter. And I know I've talked a lot about Twitter today, and people are probably like, well, hey, Twitter, I don't really use Twitter that much anymore. Pretty good little tool. It's called Twitter Engage, and it's great because of this. So what I can do now is I can use this tool. Basically, I can log into my Twitter account, and I can see basically what I can do is I can basically log in, and I can see, for instance, if I have any really important connections. For example, maybe I had a verified account follow me on Twitter, somebody who was really influential. I can now log into this app and I will see that. I will be able to see, for example, how many likes, how many retweets, how many mentions, how many impressions my tweets are getting. I can also see the breakdown of, for example, likes over time. If it's increasing or it's decreasing, say over the last 7 days. You can also go in here and you can track stats for like things you post on Twitter. For example, how many views it had, how much engagement it generated. You can also see, you can also see which accounts are following you. You can also learn more about the composition of your Twitter account as well. So, for example, if you want to see how many of my followers are male versus female, how many of them are in the United States versus in another country, as a business owner, that's important information to know, because I can take that and then I can, once I know that, I can take that and adjust my strategy or adjust what I'm doing. So, for example, if I learn that my majority of my Twitter followers are in another country, I might want to look up the time zone and see about adjusting my posting schedule so that I am tweeting when those people are online most. So that's 3 tools for today. And by the way, that last one's a free tool. So I highly recommend checking that one out. So with that, I'm going to just wrap it up and just let you guys know I'm going to try to get a replay of this out. Hopefully Blab plays nice today. So if it does, I'll have a replay of this up later tonight. And then with that, if you want to subscribe to next week's show, we should be back on our normal schedule. Basically, you can just go to the following link at socialchefs.com/blab-42. And if you go there, you'll be able to subscribe. And alternatively, if you'd like to actually get on my email list, I have an email list that I use that I basically send out every single week. I send you basically a link to last week's Blab or last week's episode of Social Chatter, basically, which is hosted on Blab. So I send you a link to that. I send you a link to the tools that we talked about. I also then give you a preview of what we're going to talk about the following week. So all you have to do for that is just text Social Chatter to 33444, and you're basically going to get on our list. We'll send you an email, and at that point, you'll get notified about future episode of Blab, basically a future episode of Social Chatter. That's what it is. So with that, I want to let everybody know I hope you have a fantastic weekend. If you have any questions, you can always, again, send me a tweet at CKROKS or at Social Chefs. And you can also check out our blog, www.socialchefs.com/blog. We've got a lot of really great industry articles, and we publish what we like to call social snacks every single week. It's basically a YouTube video, or it's a video of 5 minutes or less teaching how to do something new on social media marketing. And it could be, for example, I think this past week we talked about Facebook group topics. That's a new feature. We also have talked about Facebook 360 photos and videos, how to use those on profiles, pages, and groups, and so forth. So be sure to check that out as well. But with that, I want to say thanks a lot. Thanks for joining me. And don't forget to reach out if you have any questions on anything. So thanks a lot. Bye.